I recently bought a home in upstate New York. My real estate agent actually referred to it as a Gothic-style home. It's old, with a really steep roof and big windows. It was perfect for me. I'm a writer, and the house is pretty much in the middle of nowhere, which means I could afford it. But also, it allowed me to spend my days alone, in peace and quiet, so I could do my job. The house wasn't in great shape, and I'd split my time between writing and fixing the place up. Also, previous owner had left a lot of junk. The basement was full of old tools and broken furniture, and the attic had a lot of old knickknacks. There really wasn't anything of value. Like I said, it was just old junk. Or at least that's what I thought, until one day I was digging through the attic, and I was thrilled to find an old typewriter. I figured it was good luck, being a writer and all. I actually started using it on occasion. At first, mostly just for pictures that I posted on Facebook and Instagram. Then, I decided I would spend one day a week writing on the old typewriter. Although obvious to me now, at the time, my life started to change for the worse, and I never associated it with that antique machine. You see, I started having dreams, nightmares really. In them, I was a different person, a violent person. I'd attack people, innocent people, with knives and bats. These visions often woke me in the middle of the night. Sometimes I'd be screaming and shaking. Not surprisingly, this constant nighttime barrage of cruelty and violence had started to affect my writing. I began to pen a story that I wrote exclusively on the old typewriter about a man who snaps and goes on a violent killing spree. Week after week, as I continued to write, I fell deeper into the main character's world. I knew things were starting to get bad, but it wasn't until I had a repairman come out to fix my heater that I realized how far I'd gone. The repairman accidentally knocked a cup off my counter, and it shattered. It was just a stupid, inexpensive mug, but I lost it. I started screaming at the repairman, threatening him. As I was yelling, a small voice inside my head kept saying, "What are you doing? This isn't you. Why are you so upset?" But I just kept screaming at the guy. So much so that he grabbed his stuff and ran out the front door. I heard him yell, "Psycho," from his van as he drove off. That was enough for me to know something was wrong. I needed a break. I stopped writing my story and put away the old typewriter. I thought, just for the next few weeks, I'll focus on fixing the house, see if that will help me come back to my senses. And it did help. A little. But I was still having those violent nightmares, and started to worry that maybe I needed professional help. It had been about a week since I'd stopped writing that I was up cleaning out the attic. Came across a box containing an old manuscript. I could tell by the flaws and uneven lettering on the title page. The manuscript had been written on the old typewriter I was now using. I started to thumb through the pages and realized this story was a lot like the story I was writing. As I read further, I realized the similarities were uncanny. It, too, was about a man who loses his mind and goes on a killing spree. The locations and the characters' names were almost all the same, but what really frightened me were the death scenes. In some cases, they were word for word what I'd written in my story. As I sat there reading in the attic, I was in absolute shock. And that's when I noticed an old manila folder at the bottom of the manuscript box. Inside was a newspaper with a story about a local author who had senselessly killed 3 people. The author told police he had been driven mad by nightmares and had written a story detailing how he intended to kill his real-life victims. For me, that was all I needed to hear. I gathered the manuscript and newspaper, along with the typewriter and all of my typed story pages, drove out to a lake about 10 miles from my property, and I dumped everything into the water. I'm happy to say, since that day, I haven't written about hurting or killing anybody. And most importantly, I sleep through the night just fine.